Massanella 2023 or 358 degrees. I always use the name of the mountain and not only the degree. Massanella has been a bit around in its life. We have had versions that were more food-friendly rosé. And then last year, finally, we managed to making what we always wanted to do, I think is more a Provence style of rosé. Not to copy that, but meaning that we wanted a light, a fresh, an elegant rosé that was very much just pleasure and happiness in a bottle. And we really reached this year. It's always been a wine that was based predominantly on Grenache. Then we've had different varieties in over to add complexity. And this year we actually ended up adding entire 36% of Pinot Noir, one of our favorite varieties. And we love Pinot. So for us to have this much Pinot in the rosé was just like, yes. The remaining, that must be 64%, is the Grenache. Now, as we grow older with our vineyards and our winery, meaning here we get more experience, also on how to use our equipment, how to handle fermentations, we also get a bit more daring. So this year we split the Grenache we harvested for the rosé in two parts. One in one tank with cultured yeast, meaning that we add yeast. This means that we can sort of foresee the aromatics of the wine. It's a controlled fermentation. The other part we let ferment spontaneously. When you let it ferment spontaneously, it just ferments with the yeast that is naturally existing on the grape when we pick them. This is the first year, the first vintage we've done spontaneous fermentation. So we were just like, ooh, what if it doesn't turn out fine? A lot of stuff can happen. It can smell bad, it can taste bad, it can not ferment, it can ferment too fast. But we were very lucky. Apparently we have very good yeast strains in our vineyards. And both of the two different fermentations were beautiful on their own. But once we blended them, magic just happened. It was so much more complex. But yet still, we wanted a bit more power, a bit more oomph to it. So we had this year decided to harvest a part of our Pinot earlier than the one for the red wine and fermented, vinified as a rosé, meaning just a tiny bit of maceration on the skins, just to get a bit of color. We started blending this in and we just, wow, ended up with something that is exactly what I think the vision of this wine always was. The smile just comes immediately out when you smell this. It's so charming, bright. It smells of wild strawberries, apple blossom, nectarine, basically all red berries you can find, but with a touch of also orange fruits. And it's just impossible to spit out. I'm sorry, but it is. You'll see. Wow. It's also impossible not to just want to drink the whole bottle. And start dancing, basically. This is a wine that, speaking of dancing, is great for just drinking on the balcony or in the garden with your friends and with some great music. It really is that kind of rosé that is just immediately enjoyable. So fresh, and with a touch of sweetness, but not as terms of sugar. It's bone dry, but that sweetness, like a ripe strawberry, where you have a lot of freshness and you have this beautiful red fruit flavors, that kind of sweetness. But yet, it's still complex enough to be great for some mild cow milk, raw milk cheeses, even some tapas, roasted nuts, that kind of snacky stuff that you would want to anyhow when you finish bottle number 1 and you open bottle number 2 and you get hungry. So this is really Massanella this year. Glass I'm using for this is one of our favorite glasses, the most all-round, at least for the white wines and rosé glasses we have from Riedel. So it's the Riesling Zinfandel glass, which really just brings out the beauty here. So, cheers.